Hello ladies, this is a beginner's guide to cloth pads and the topic today is size. So I have been putting videos up on my channel only to take them down a little while later. I've really been looking at what direction I want to take my channel in and just what kind of content I want on the channel. So I think I didn't really convey all the ideas that I had in my head when I made that video. So I'm going to have another go at it. Unfortunately, that does mean I'm going to lose my comments. I had a comment from Cinder Ellen 216. Thank you for messaging me. And you said that you'd like to see my washing tips, which is great. I will try and get the footage together, little clips here and there, and put it together and kind of do like a wash video. So that was really helpful because I didn't know that somebody would want to see my washing routine because I thought it's been and done by other people. So that's fantastic. And then I had another comment from Menstrual Cups Kenya, who said that, you know, I should try and do a what I wore this month. I hadn't actually thought of that, so I will do one. What else? Yes, so if you do like my channel and you are finding the information beneficial, please like, please comment, and do subscribe. So on to our topic. The first thing I would like to say is one needs to consider what actually fits. So I have already stated in the first episode the difference between people's periods. So there is a person who really cannot sleep in anything less than this pad, which is a 17-inch, or not quite, I think it's 16 and a bit. Anyway, you can't sleep in anything less. And there's another person who a 12-inch super heavy is perfectly fine. I got this from my daughter. Twin pads. Haha. Anyway, so the question is what fits? Because if you can fit into a 12-inch pad, then do you really need to invest in a 16-inch pad that you probably don't need? So that's one question that you need to ask yourself. And also, along with that comes a whole raft of other questions. So the first thing I'd like to tackle is the big pads, and then I'll get to the smaller pads. So with the big pads, people love to call my normal heavy pads postpartum pads, which drives me a little bonkers. Not too much, just a tiny bit. Because these are my normal pads. Hey, why are they called postpartum pads? These are just heavy pads. How about that? Anyway, my normal may not be your normal, but we're in this beautiful community of cloth pad users, and it's fantastic. So anyway, I use these pads all the time. What I noticed on the community was that these are postpartum pads for most people, and they are only used in that period in the postpartum bleed for the first week, and then they are destashed a month later. It's to the point where people borrow postpartum pads from their sisters or their friends to just use for the week and give back. Say what? Anyway, I can't deal with that. If I'm selling pads or giving pads away, you have it and keep it, but we're not sharing. I'm just worried about bugs. I think I'm a little bit OCD. There's some things I just can't. I cannot. Anyway, so this is my normal cycle. And so the reason why this is my normal, let's go back, give you a little backstory, is when I was using disposables, I used to buy the biggest pad in the heaviest absorbency I could find in the shop. And not a cheapie either. It was one of the top brands, you know. I just won't mention who it was because they are just bygones in life. We don't even want to remember that we ever used these things. So I used to stick them together like that to give me more length. And you should think, or I should have thought, this should have been sufficient. Well, even just going out for a couple of hours, I would leak. The pain of changing to go out just for an hour and you leak in the car while you're driving. I can't explain how annoying it was. It's a time when you're weak, you are already tired, you may be in a great deal of pain. I mean, then you add all this cleanup, and were these pads ever even really as absorbent as they claim to be? I mean, it seemed like they were just moving the blood around. They didn't actually take it away. It's like you just kept sitting in warm, simmering blood. I mean, these cloth pads now mean that I no longer have to sit in warm, simmering blood. They do what was sold to me originally, which is keeps you feeling dry and protected. Well, these do it now. Haha. Anyway, so, and of course the problem exists because who made this design? It was a businessman who thought, I'm going to profit on this thing because women are going to keep needing this product. And what authority did these people decide that we all just bleed straight down? Where did they get the idea from? I mean, what experience do they have that can make them knowledgeable on how to design the product? I just don't think men have any business to do with menses. I just think they should butt out. Anyway, so of course, the very thing that happened when I first started shopping for cloth pads was I found my lovely pads, the big ones. And when I saw this shape, this pad, I thought, that's got my name on it. It's everything I dreamed a pad should have looked like from the beginning. They should have been designed that way. Let's just say it, that's what I thought. So anyway, so the first question for me, obviously the very first thing is, well, what fits? Because if you were sticking the pads together before, then obviously you don't want to have small pads because you couldn't fit in the normal 11-inch that was being sold in store. So obviously you need to go bigger. The question is how big? So you're not going to know that unless you try. And so I'm sorry to say there's a small point of trial and error. And I'll demonstrate why it's like that. So I had bought, just pull this out, a 14-inch heavy in an identical shape. So this shape, I had a 14-inch as well. Okay, and this is still bigger than what's in the shop. It's still more absorbent. But what I found was there wasn't enough of the pad, so I used to leak right over the top bit. So the back was fine, but I was leaking over the top. So it seems like I did need the extra 2 inches to keep me in. You can see if I kind of line this up, there's an extra bit, and that's enough because then I stay inside the pad. Great. So it's a case of what actually fits, because I cannot fit my period onto one of these pads. I don't care what I do, it's not going to fit in there on a heavy day. So the smallest I can wear is 15. So I'm constrained, and so will you, by what you can fit in. There are constraints. Is that even a sentence? Did I just make up some weird grammar? YouTube has this, when I'm shooting videos, honestly, I make the most atrocious grammatical errors ever, and then I can't even pronounce my words. Anyway, the point is that there are some constraints. So if you can't fit, then obviously you can't have it. So you're going to have to go bigger. If you can fit into a smaller pad, you may not want to go bigger, especially if you're quite comfortable. There is also this saying, or ideology, that that it depends on your body size. So if you're bigger, then you need a bigger pad, and if you're smaller, then you should be fine with a smaller pad. Now, this may be true for a particular case, because I have read of a pad maker who made like a 22-inch or 23-inch pad for a client that was obese, so she was over 22 stones, and for my American viewers, that is 300 pounds in weight. Obviously, you have to assume, this has to sit around your body, and if there's more of your body, you need more for it to actually reach over to the right sections. So yes, that may influence size, but that's not really a hard and fast rule, because that would be for one person. I mean, there could be a woman who's 22 stones who only really bleeds in the center, straight down, and she doesn't even need it. So that's the other thing. So there is a requirement of sorts where you do have to have some sort of self-awareness when you're deciding what you need. I'll give an example as well. So I would have assumed that my daughter, who is an 11-year-old petite young girl, would have liked to have small liners. So when I bought her liners, I had bought 4-inch liners, 5-inch liners, 6-inch liners, right? And then I bought what I thought she should have, which was like 8 and 9-inch. Anyway, I gave her everything and I said, have a go, try, let's see, what do you think? Now, I made this very same mistake with the liners when I was buying them, because I first bought 6-inch liners. I don't have a 6-inch liner, but I'm going to use my daughter's 7-inch liner to demonstrate. Okay, so here it is. So if you can imagine, there's like a missing inch. So I bought that. Okay, so let's go with my story first and we'll get to my daughter. So when I bought this, I found this size to be really uncomfortable. The pads moved about a great deal. They kept shifting, contorting, folding over, twisting, folding, just doing all sorts of things. And I was so uncomfortable. And unfortunately, I had bought 6 of those. So I had used 2, but because I had pre-washed everything to use, I had to de-stash them as used, obviously, because, hey, I had washed them. So you would think, well, that's because I'm a grown woman and I need a bigger liner. But that's not it, because when my daughter tried her 6-inch liners, 5 inches as well I had, and I think I had one 4-inch. No, I'm pretty sure the smallest I bought her was 5-inch. But anyway, it was small and there were a few. So she had like 5 small ones, and then I had bought like 8-inch and 9-inch because that's what I thought would be comfortable. But I had no guarantee what was going to be comfortable. I wasn't going to know until she tried them. So this is, again, a small person, uses the 5-inch liner, 6-inch liner, and she's like, I don't like these. And I'm like, why? She said, well, they're twisting, they're turning, I can't be comfortable. I don't like them. So I said, okay, is there any thing that worked for you? She said, yeah. Those bigger ones, they're very comfortable. So there was this thing where, she was waiting for all her liners to get there. So this is one of the ones I had presented her with. This is from Ngozi Sews. So this was an 8-inch liner. So she said she was perfectly happy with that size. And that was it. And I had, at the time, also bought her a Ngozi 9-inch. Okay. So she had that. So she had, a few sizes. So she could not wait to get rid of the small liners. She kept calling them, can we just get rid of the titchy liners? Can we just get rid of the titchy liners? I was like, okay, but, you need to use them until your new pads get here. So, we were on order waiting for our pads to arrive. her liners to arrive. And so she, again, the same thing, even for her, we had to kind of gradually build up the liner collection. Because I was only doing about five liners a month or so. So it took me a few months to get the liner collection up to the quantity that she needed. So that was one. And even she said that. She said it's not comfortable. So I don't really think it's got anything to do, I don't think it has much to do with a person's body size. I think it's just got to do with ergonomics in terms of how somebody sits down, maybe how their posture works. I just think it's how their own body works. That I feel that's what makes one size good for one person and not good for another, because these are liners. The other thing I wanted to say, since I'm already on this topic, just to move on, is about buying, when you buy liners, because I found this the trickiest part of my size finding. I found the big pads were easy because I was already sticking the things together, so they really weren't the problem. I ended up with problems with them because of shapes, wing shapes, and absorbency. Those were the problems I had with the big pads. I didn't really have any problem knowing what size I needed because I was already taping 2 pads together. But if you weren't taping 2 pads together with the big pads, the problem you've got is if you can, with your disposable, you kind of stick it wherever you want and it works over there. But with your, let's pretend this is your underwear, it's got to sit properly. When the underwear starts squat, it's got to fit there, because you can't just keep bringing the pad up, so it's got to sit where you need it. So if you are somebody who is buying them, you have to realize it's got to sit well on your underwear, because you're gonna clip it on there. So that's a consideration to make. So you may need to go a little bit bigger just to make sure that you've covered all the areas you want to cover. And what else? Yeah, just that you want to cover the bits that you need to cover, because you can't just stick this down wherever you like. It has snaps on it around, so it has to conform to your underwear. You can't just pull it and keep pulling it up. So that opens up the discussion for what kind of shapes you might need to consider, but I'm not going to discuss shape in this video because this is going to make the video really long. So I'm going to stick to what I came to talk about, which was size. So with the liner sizes, it was really tricky. And what a woman may need to consider is, number one, where is the discharge? Are you somebody that has one exit point, just one? Or are you somebody that has 2 exit points? So maybe the front labia and the normal exit. And because of this, you might find that you need a bigger one. I'm a twins today with my daughter. Okay, so maybe one person is catering for just a leak that happens just here, and that's it. Another person could be catering for a leak that happens way up top and down here, and because of this, they need more coverage. So you've got to know, what's your leak like? Are you already buying extra long liners, and are you leaking out of the extra long liners? If the short little tiny liners, 6-inch ones that you get from the shop, I think they're smaller than 6 inches, fit, then maybe you can even go small. Maybe you can just get 7 inches or less, even 6 inches, is up to you. And you will not know how the shape sits until you put it on. A good example for me was the 12-inch. I don't own any 12-inch anything on my own stash. I've got some from my daughter, so she has 12-inch pads, but I don't. So this is one 12-inch, this is another. This size, it didn't matter who I got the pads from. It was incredibly uncomfortable. It just seemed to pinch me in all the wrong places. Oh my goodness. And, I had this moment where, everyone was like, hey, because I was asking for advice on the groups, like what, and also watching YouTube, and everybody said 12-inch is the thing. 12-inch is the size that you should go for. And 12-inch heavies are fantastic. Of course, I tried them, and look, it was a horrendous episode. I had leaked tip to tip, all the way over it, all around the wings, right the way round, right? You don't even want to imagine what the mess was around me beyond the pad. And the cleanup, oh my God, the dreaded cleanup. I mean, that was very sobering for me, because it was a case of, well, the 12-inch may be good for some, but you actually, first of all, need to fit in it. And I don't fit. So that was the one of the things with the sizes, and people recommending sizes to you, because like I keep saying, you need to find out if the person recommending the pad size knows what kind of flow you're having, because you could be in two different worlds. I mean, they could be in the moderate and light world saying that they're heavy, and you could be in the heavy world thinking that you're not so heavy, and yet you are. So the issue then is, because this is a custom product, there is a requirement, if you like, or you need to get to know yourself. And if you don't know yourself yet, it's better to just buy different sizes, try them. Maybe you could jump up 2 inches at a time, see, buy 4 or 5 and see what works, and then go back to start buying more after you've already experienced what cloth feels like, because it doesn't feel anything like disposables. The other thing I want to talk about is so we've spoken about liners, yes, regulars. So there is what fits, and then there is comfort. So I found that bigger was more comfortable, and I'll explain. So for me, in a liner, this is 9 inches. Okay, I can fit into a 10-inch, really, but it's not comfortable. It pinches me in all the wrong places. So I bought 11-inch liners. So I've gone the extra inch for comfort. So I'm going bigger for my comfort. Also with my pads, my Ngozi Sews pads, these ones, they are 16 inches. These are the big ones. In the daytime, I don't occupy this whole pad. I really don't. However, it really does well for me in terms of the fact that I've got the security of the shape, and because it's like a happy medium, because remember, I don't fit in the 14-inch. So this was the happy medium. So for me, going bigger, so you could say, well, why don't you just get a 15-inch? Well, one's not available, and two, I'd rather be bigger and just be more comfortable rather than stuff the pad and worry about leaks. I think I'm done with leaks. I lived through enough leaks when I was on disposables. Okay, so liners are tricky only because you have just to consider, there's no flow, so you're considering just discharge and what's comfortable, and that's it really. So try a few sizes. Do not buy 6 of anything. I bought 6 of those tissue pads. It was very painful destashing them for a fair bit less than I bought them for. So you don't want to do that. So the other phase of my cycle, which is your regular part, or I don't know, mid-heavy, because kind of for me, when I come past the, should we call it a postpartum stage? Even though I'm not when I come off my mega flow stage and I come down to my heavies, there's something interesting I'd like to point out. So I can happily fit into a 13-inch heavy, but I'd like to point something out to you. When it comes to my regulars as well, they are also 13 inches. Doesn't matter who I've bought them from, but whatever I have, I'm equally happy in the same size, but in different absorbencies. So that's a heavy, a regular, and another regular, and they're all 13s. And the reason being, this is a size that works for me for most things. I would even wear this 13-inch pad, this particular shape and size, on just if I'm spotting, because I don't want to stain any of my liners, because I use my liners, every single one of them, like 2 times a month minimum. Most of them get 3 uses. So I really don't want to bleed on my liners. So I'd rather put a regular pad on, spot on that, and then not damage my liners. So this is the confusion. I found this confusing when I was buying my pads, because somebody would show you a stash video and they had like a 10-inch moderate, a 10-inch heavy, and a 10-inch light. And you're like, well, why do you have it all in the same size though? I mean, if you're heavy, aren't you supposed to be, isn't it supposed to be like a bigger pad? And this is what you don't get, is it's a custom product. So in that part of my cycle, when I'm now no longer on Mega Flow, I'm now on just heavy, this is the perfect size. It contains me very well, there's no problem, but the size is so comfortable that when I'm on a regular flow, yes, I don't occupy the whole pad on a regular flow. In fact, I'm only here in my regular flow, just that's all I occupy. So, but the thing is, it's comfortable, and I don't even wear uncomfortable shoes. This is not the time for me to be sitting in discomfort when I have the least patience. I just can't deal with it. I'm sorry. No, it's not going to do. I need to be patient. I need to be comfortable. So no. So anyway, this is why you might find a woman has the same shape, the same size, and she has it in different absorbencies. It's because she's probably found the shape, the size, excuse me, I keep saying shape, the size works well despite where she might be. So for me, 13-inch, perfect for heavy, regular, and I dare say even for my spotting, because I pull these out whenever I'm spotting. So that's the other thing that, used to really puzzle me when I used to like watch the videos and stuff. And I want to talk about this so the other thing, so I've explained about comfort, I've done body size, oh dear, my brain's gone. So I've done comfort, actual fit, body size, and the dreaded 12-inch. Don't say I didn't warn you. If you're heavy and you go and get a 12-inch pad, don't say I didn't warn you. Although I have to say, I've met women who are not heavy bleeders, they're moderate bleeders, who also still find the 12-inch pads just sit in a bad way. So it just may be just the size, it's just a weird size. I don't know. The teenager I passed on my 12-inch pads to said she found them perfectly comfortable and way better. So she's happy. But I really was not happy with them at all. So I would like to... So what are my recommendations? My recommendations are that you try one of each size that you think you may want to try. Do not buy a bulk buy of anything until you've actually come into contact with the pads. Unless you're dead sure that that's the size, because I was dead sure that the postpartum size was the size. There's something else I want to point out about these big pads is that when I bought my pads initially, I had quite huge pads in comparison, because these are like 15. I had like a 21.5, 22-inch pad, I'm telling you. And I just thought, yeah, it's got to be as big as possible because it's postpartum. And everybody said you need some monster pads for the monster flow. Anyway, so I bought them, and in any case, I didn't need all that length. And so there are other tricks that you need to pay attention to, because along with size, there are lots of things you can do regarding the absorbency, the wing shape, the general shape of the pad that will boost the efficiency of the pad. So the size is not the only factor. It's kind of, you've got to think about everything collectively. So that's, those are the things I wanted to discuss in my other videos, because they do play a role. And anyway, so the reason I don't have my 22-inch or almost 22-inch pads is because, well, these just worked a lot better, and they didn't feel as big. So I found this just a happy medium. So this is my version of going titchy. Anyway, it was a happy medium, and I just settled for this, and I've been very happy since. I honestly think that some pads that you wear, I think once you've worn them, just make you dislike other pads. Not because there's anything wrong with the pads, it's just sometimes the pad maker has just designed something that is just so right for you that you just don't want to hear about the other people, And I think that was what happened to me. I wore this pad, and all the other, this one, because that's the one I had at the time, all the other big pads that I had at the time, I just thought, nah, you're not the same, with the exception of, I had a Queen Cloth Sherpa pad that I was using. I did like that pad. I just didn't seem to get on with the topper. So anyway, with the exception of that pad, the shape was right. I had no leaks. It didn't feel too bulky. I was very happy with that shape. So basically, those two kind of were way ahead of everything else I had in the stash. And as usual, I kind of just keep to my favorites. So I destashed and added more of my favorites. So yes, I just found that I didn't need that big, massive pad. It wasn't any more efficient than the shorter 16-inch pads. So there's that to consider as well. I would like to end my video today with a story from an anonymous heavy bleeder. So, a heavy bleeder lady says that she finds it extremely difficult on her heavy days to make the journey between the bathroom and her bedroom without leaving a trail. And this is just made worse by the fact that she cannot even move from the bath to just the 3 steps that are required to collect clean underwear and a pad inside the same bathroom without soiling the floor. All of this it means that if there is the need to use the toilet, that the whole situation can be greatly exacerbated by her having some sort of temporary or permanent incontinence. So basically, she was in a fit of rage because somebody decided on her heavy days to put the bathroom mat on the bathroom floor, which, had it not been that this woman was on her period, she would probably have thought, yeah, fine, it belongs on the floor, but you need to consider the hormones and the fact that she may have been in pain, so now the question is, what is she angry about? The problem is, or the situation is such that in the transition between being upright and seated or squatting over the toilet, there is this huge gush that soils the seat, the floor, and the underwear. And it looks a lot like the hallway scene from The Shining. Now, of course, she came in knowing that she needs to clean up after herself. However, who put this mat that just increased the job at a time when there is no patience for more work? So, incidentally, I have never watched The Shining. I just saw like a trailer and it just stuck in my head. But the thing with that is, this is why I'm not cut out for horror films, because I can't deal with them. Look at that. That was a trailer and it just stayed in my head. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed my little story time. And I'll see you on the next video.